During this challenging time of the coronavirus, when we're all social distancing and staying at home, the pastors of this church have been taking turns sharing devotions to bring you encouragement and comfort during this time, and to stay connected with you as we are physically separated from each other. It's the week after Easter, and Easter was a bit different this year, wasn't it? We worshiped on Holy Thursday and Good Friday and Easter Sunday remotely over live stream in the comforts of our home. Do you remember the early days in the coronavirus journey? We foolishly thought that this would all be over by Easter and that things would be getting back to normal. We'd be back at work, schools would be back in session, sporting events would be restarted, and there would not be any shortages of anything at the grocery stores. Well, that didn't happen. We could say that we're back in the thick of things now. We don't know when things will get back to normal. Each day we hope that the news will bring us some encouragement that curve is flattening and the worst of it is behind us now, that we'll be getting back to our routine soon. Yet the virus is still with us, and sadly people are still dying. When we start to think about how many more weeks that we'll have to endure this, it becomes too much. Will we be able to cope another few weeks, a month, or more than a month, or we'll just not, let's not go there. It's been a long and exhausting journey already. And it's not going to be over in the next week or so. We must push on. But many of us are drained, we're exhausted, we're wondering how many more weeks can we take of this? Many of us will say that we are people of faith, or people of great faith, and that our faith will get us through this. Yet the question we must ask ourselves, what happens to our faith when circumstances change? Change as drastically as they have in the past few weeks. You know, it's easy to be people of great faith when everything is going well. We're in our normal routines, but how is our faith when things are not right? When we're out of our normal element, when our circumstances in life have swung wildly beyond our control, our job is gone, when our family members or our friends start to have those symptoms that associate with the virus, and that's scary. We cannot even leave our homes or visit our family. How do we remain faithful and focused even when things get crazy? When we feel overwhelmed. Overwhelmed, that's a word I hear a lot when people tell me how they're doing. I feel exhausted. I feel drained. I feel overwhelmed when I think about how long this ordeal might last. Will we have to endure this for another 2 weeks, a month, God forbid 2 or 3 months more? It's just too much to contemplate. You know, I was reading an article in a magazine lately about how our brain handles stress. Our brains deal with things in small chunks in working through stress, but not well in dealing with long periods of stress. If we try to project out into the future of having to endure these times for many weeks or months, then our minds get overwhelmed, causing us anxiety and fear all over our body, that hopeless feeling in our gut. But if we envision this ordeal in small chunks, a day or two, our brains are much more amenable in dealing with this, which lessens our stress and our feeling of being overwhelmed. I guess what our brains are trying to tell us is take it one day at a time. Take it one day at a time. That's such a cliche, but they are wise words for us during this time. We will get overwhelmed if we try to look at the totality of what we are facing before us. We need to put ourselves in a one day at a time mode. We are overwhelmed by thinking about how we're going to make it when we barely got through the first 2 weeks of homeschooling, when we feel trapped and dare not venture out of the house, when we've been furloughed and we wonder how we're going to pay those bills. This is too big to wrap our hands around. We will feel overwhelmed by looking at our problems down the road. But the question is, can I just get through today? The problems that we feel are weighing us down, but let's just look at them for this day. We know that our brains may be wired to be able to handle our struggles one day at a time, but you know, Jesus figured this out a couple of centuries ago. Let's read what Jesus said in Matthew 6:33 through 34 in an address we know as the Sermon on the Mount. But first seek his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Do not worry about tomorrow, but be concerned about the things of today. This is Jesus' way of saying, take it one day at a time. Otherwise, we will be overcome by the troubles in our lives. So how do we remain faithful and focused even when things are getting crazy? Take it one day at a time. Don't let yourself get troubled by what is going to happen a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months down the road. Each day has enough trouble of its own. And while taking it one day at a time, try not to dwell on your fears and anxieties, but be outwardly focused. Reach out to others. Who can I call or email or text that would need some words of comfort? Or an old friend that I've been wanting to reconnect with? As we're quarantined in our home, are there things that can help others who are in dire need? Donate to a food bank. Donate to help purchase more medical supplies for our new heroes, our healthcare workers. Can I send a Starbucks or Panera gift card to that overworked checker at Publix? There are a variety of ways one can still reach out to others during this stay-at-home time. And another great antidote to feeling overwhelmed is to think about what you are thankful for. Look for the blessings in your day. 1 Thessalonians 5:17 tells us to give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. Be thankful always is in no way to diminish the severity of what we're going through. Yet what it does mean is that God will diminish the way you are feeling overwhelmed. Our hope and trust is in Jesus Christ. It will get bigger. God will restore your sense of hope. We will get through this one day at a time.